Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger. Welcome back to another FanBoyPotion video for WWE 2K16. Well, today I guess it's more specifically just the WWE. That's why I had a bit of an awkward pause there. But essentially, of course, last month you guys really did seem to enjoy my predictions video. So if you guys enjoy this month's as well, leave a like, and I will definitely consider making another one for Fastlane. With that in mind, let's discuss the Royal Rumble, which is this Sunday. I'm actually recording this really late at night on Thursday. So if there's any other matchups that are announced after that, I apologize that I didn't cover them. It's not like I didn't want to or anything like that. It's just that they weren't there. Now, I will say that I'd be shocked if there was something added there, because at this point the card is pretty stacked, not from a point of like, oh, it's really exciting matchups, but more so from a point of there's a lot of matchups already announced. So let's kick things off. Right off the bat, we have Darren Young and Damian Sandow, oddly enough, teaming up. I guess they've broken apart the primetime players again, with Titus kind of getting his own shine now, taking on the Dudley Boys, taking on the Ascension, taking on Mark Henry and Jack Swagger in a matchup to qualify for the Royal Rumble. Now, the interesting thing is that they said that this is going to be a case of where the winners are guaranteed an entry into the Royal Rumble. So I'm not really sure how that works in terms of, okay, they're guaranteed an entry, but is everyone else still possible for it? And there's just a chance. So it's a little bit of a weird naming and weird wording with this match. As far as who I think will win this, I think the Dudley Boys are the ones that make the most sense. I think that'd be the most exciting entry to be guaranteed to be in the Rumble. But at the same time, I could totally see Jack Swagger and Mark Henry winning, because Henry's probably going to be in the Rumble match as it is. So, with that in mind, let's move right along to the next match, which is one that I'm actually very excited for, and that's the New Day defending their tag titles against the Usos. These guys have had like a fun little rivalry going on. I really don't like Chris Jericho's involvement in this whole thing, not because I don't like him or anything, but because I would really much have preferred to just see the Usos and the New Day go at it. I don't really like this whole rooty, booty, tooty chant that he's going for. I know some people like it and everything, but I don't know. I just feel like the New Day is the goofy ones, and let's keep it to them. It's kind of their shtick, so to speak. But again, obviously Jericho was there a long time before them, so you could argue whatever you want. As far as who I think wins this thing, I think the New Day should win again and have some sort of another title defense at Fastlane, and then you wrap it up with a big, maybe fatal four-way or triple threat TLC match for the tag titles at Mania. That'd be absolutely spectacular and super duper fun to see. I could see like New Day, the Usos, and maybe you could bring up like one of the NXT tag teams. Like if they bring up Enzo and Cass, or maybe ideally Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, that would be insane. That would be so much fun to watch. So, with that in mind, let's move on to the next matchup, which is one that I think was built up tremendously well. Probably the best built up title match on the entire pay-per-view. I think that this is the clearest kind of old school perspective of a heel versus a babyface, and I'm of course talking about Becky Lynch going up against the NXT, or sorry, not NXT anymore, the Divas champion, Charlotte. And I really like the verbal sparring that they've had. I also really like how transparent this feud has been in terms of we clearly have a bad guy, we clearly have a good guy, and they go at it. It's very simple storytelling, but it works, and that's why I think it's exciting to see these two compete. I think that Charlotte will probably win with the involvement of Ric Flair, but it gives us a chance to get a rematch maybe at Fastlane, and then maybe set up a triple threat between Becky, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. Next up after that, we got the U.S. title being defended by Alberto Del Rio now once again against Kalisto. I was not a big fan of this kind of back and forth title swaps. I know that they could tell an interesting story of like, hey, these two are a lot closer than we think, and that's why the title has been kind of flip-flopping between the two. But at the same time, that's not really the story that they're going for. They've really kind of not really told any story with this. And that's why I'm a little bit concerned about the overall booking that the WWE has had over the last month and a half or so, or even longer than that, honestly, of where it kind of almost feels like they're like, okay, let's just get to WrestleMania and then we'll figure it out. But I just kind of think that it's important to remember that the journey there should be still somewhat well done, or else nobody's going to care about the final destination, you know? So, that's what I would personally like to see. I would really like for them to show some care to this, and as a result of that, I'm not really invested in this match, but I would love for Kalisto to win because I think that Alberto Del Rio could go on to do different things with the League of Nations. You could set up some sort of a feud for them to work on at Mania, you know, where it could be the League of Nations taking on someone else. They might do something like, I wouldn't be surprised if they even did like Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family against the League of Nations. You got 4 guys there, 4 guys there. The math works out. But I think that they probably wouldn't do that, but you never know. So with that in mind, essentially, though, I think I would much prefer for Kalisto to be the champion. I think he'd be a really cool champion because I think he would have a component of vulnerability, you know, where most people would kind of look at him and think, okay, well, you know what? There's a chance for Kalisto to lose a match to some of the bigger athletes just due to sheer size and scale and such. So I think that would be really fun to see. And I think that him and Neville and him and many other competitors on the roster could have some really great matchups. So I'm going to pick Alberto Del Rio to actually retain the belt, but I would much rather for Kalisto to win. We then move on to the Intercontinental Championship being defended by Dean Ambrose against Kevin Owens. Yes, this is a little bit of a repeat. I mean, these guys have been going at it on and off for a while now, and I'm not really a fan of the feud that these two have been having, especially because, I don't know, I feel like we've almost kind of like been there, done that. That's kind of the feeling that I have with these two constantly wrestling. But again, obviously somebody else might disagree, so I'm not going to harp on that too much because it's not really fair that just because I feel that way, you shouldn't see that match happen. So I would say for me personally, though, I think that, you see, this is the one that I find a little bit tricky, though, because I could totally see them giving Owens the belt and then setting him up to defend it at Mania to do, like, obviously go into Mania as a contender, because then he could have the babyface win at WrestleMania, and it's a big deal then. But at the same time, I could also see them trying to keep the title on Ambrose and kind of keep building his momentum, so to speak. So I could almost see both working out. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens wins, and this is going to be a title change at the show. We then move on to, of course, the Royal Rumble match itself, which is the thing we're all looking forward to. Of course, this is the first time ever that the title is actually defended in the Rumble match. It's not the first time that, of course, it's the champion was determined as a result of winning the Rumble match. Because I believe in the Royal Rumble of 1992 is when that occurred as well. And I think that was, I'm pretty sure Ric Flair won that year. No, I don't remember. But with that in mind, who's going to win this thing? Well, there's obviously a couple of kind of obvious options that you can jump to. You know, there is Roman Reigns, who will retain the belt. And I think that that's the one I'm going to go with. I know that that's probably the lamest of the bunch, and I wish that it wasn't that one. You know, I wish that I could have been able to say, oh, it's not going to be Roman. They're not going to do that. That would be silly. Why would they have Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble twice in a row, and this time having gone through 29 other superstars, especially because, you know, going into this like with a mindset of like, if I was a WWE superstar, let's say, right, you want to guarantee that Roman gets out of there. I mean, all 29 of those guys should want to throw him over the top so that he's no longer champion, so that there is just a new champion. I mean, I know that you could say, well, that logic doesn't make much sense in terms of you still don't want anybody but you to win. I know that, but at the same time, it's like, if you want to guarantee Roman, if you want to guarantee like a new champion, Roman should get eliminated, especially since he's number one. But let's be honest, he's definitely going to be in the final two. I'm guessing he'll be in the final two for sure. I think that the other safe choice would probably be Brock Lesnar. I think that choice is a little bit too obvious, though, even more so than Roman, in terms of like, okay, and then what do you do with him? Like, okay, what does he do at Fastlane? Who does he defend it against? Does he have a rematch with Roman? And if so, what do you do at Mania then? Does Roman beat him at Fastlane, and then you're tied again, and now you're going to do like the final match at WrestleMania? Maybe. I mean, I guess that could make sense. I wouldn't be a really big fan of that. I think that wouldn't really make a lot of creative sense. It wouldn't be very, very interesting to see that unfold, in my personal opinion. But again, obviously, to each his own. And with that being said, I would much rather for them at that point to just go with Roman and then Roman defend the belt at Mania. I think that would be more exciting even than having Roman, let's say, win at Fastlane or lose at Rumble, win at Fastlane, and then defend at Mania. I think that would be a little bit silly in my personal opinion. Again, just what I feel. So that being said, then let's discuss some of the other options that are possible. Well, of course, there's the big rumors of AJ Styles making his debut at the Royal Rumble. I think that that's certainly a very, 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 very solid kind of rumor. And I hope that it happens. I think that would be a really fun surprise entrant. But I do not see in any way, shape, or form him winning the championship that night. I just don't see it. I kind of doubt that it happens. I really hope Finn Balor makes an appearance in the Rumble. I know last year, I think it was Hideo Itami, right? Did he make an appearance? I'm pretty sure. Or was that the Andre? He was in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but was he? They usually have at least one NXT person in the Rumble. So I would love for Balor to be the guy, and I would love for him to stick around, like be in the Final Four or something, you know, so that it legitimizes NXT that much more, and it also puts it in a position where when Balor finally comes up to the main roster, it's going to be a big, big deal. So I think that that would be really super duper cool if Finn Balor was the guy from NXT to make it over there. Plus, you know what you could do that would be kind of cool is that maybe AJ and Balor have a thing where they go back and forth and maybe they eliminate together one another. Maybe like, let's say make it Brock, Roman, maybe Triple H, Brock, Roman, Triple H, and let's say Sheamus or somebody like that, right? And then Finn Balor and AJ Styles is the final six. Balor and AJ eliminate each other to kind of make up your final four. I think that would be kind of neat. I wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be super duper cool as your final few that stay in there. Now, of course, as I just mentioned, there is a very, very good chance that Triple H will make an appearance. I mean, we haven't seen Triple H since Roman Reigns had gotten his hands on him. And I think that this would be a perfect spot for Triple H to make a return, of course. You know, he could come back in the Rumble, maybe at number 30. He positioned himself perfectly, of course, being partial owner of the WWE, you know, makes sense. Why not put yourself in such a spot, especially as the bad guy? That's what you would do. You're in number 30. He eliminates Roman Reigns. He becomes the champion. Something along those lines would be great. And then you could set up, if you want, Roman Reigns versus Triple H at Fastlane, or I guess you could do it at WrestleMania as well with Roman and him going at it. There's obviously a chance of maybe The Rock being there. If The Rock is there, then I think Triple H versus The Rock is a better matchup. But honestly, at this point, I'm not really even sure who you would go with into WrestleMania, because this year's WrestleMania is like really weird because a lot of their talent pool is so chewed up, and it really feels like a Swiss cheese type of roster this year, in terms of you're not really sure who's really going to be there. Like, let's say, can Rock be there? If he can, then obviously you put him on the card against somebody big. But I'm also one of those people that I feel like I'm not a big fan of having part-time talent, so to speak, as people say. Like, I don't dislike part-time talent. I understand why they're there, and I understand that they need to be there, and I understand that they are trying to help the other talent get over in most cases. But I would much rather have a regular talent face a part-time talent. You know, I'd much rather The Rock face somebody who's a younger talent. Can you imagine if this is the final two? That would be amazing. New Day rocks. And that would be absolutely incredible. I think New Day is going to have some hilarious moments in the Rumble as well. The Royal Rumble is usually my favorite pay-per-view of the year because the Rumble match is just so much fun to watch. The past few years, not so much. I will definitely say that the past few years have been a little bit rougher to watch, especially because the Rumble matches have been just so predictable. So I really hope that this year that we have some really, really fun surprises. You know, they've just recently signed a whole bunch of talent. AJ Styles really should debut here. It would be super fun to see him just appear. Plus, I think he'd be really, really cool in terms of what he could pull off. I'd love to see, as I mentioned before, Finn Balor make an appearance. I think that'd be super duper neat to see as well, especially because by him lasting a long time in the Rumble, I think you legitimize both the NXT title, and on top of that, you legitimize his future appearance on the main roster. So I'd love to see that overall. And as a whole, though, what do I think will happen? Like, if I had to actually predict, I would probably say that Roman Reigns is winning. I think that that is probably the safest choice of the bunch. I think that they're going to go for the whole story of like, oh, Roman is just so mighty powerful. Last year, he won the Royal Rumble. And then this year, he outlasted 29 other dudes and still retained his title. And he is just the greatest and toughest and most awesome dude. And yes, I'm saying that with a sarcastic voice because I think that when you book somebody that down people's throats, it's gonna backfire because Roman just recently started getting a positive reaction. People are kind of on board with him. I think them starting to go like, hey, but look how tough he is, and just like he's undefeatable and he can just slice through everybody and everybody. And I don't think that that would be the smartest thing to do to him, especially right now when he just got onto the kind of positive note of the fans. I think that you need to show some vulnerability here. Make it realistically. As a guy who walks in at first, if he can even last and be in the final 4, I think it'd be so exciting if he gets eliminated, let's say 4th to last, and then the 3 final guys in there, you're like, oh my goodness, we're going to have a new champion. Who's it going to be? You know, and then that creates this realistic vulnerability where, hey, Roman did incredible. He went from entering at number 1 and lasting all the way to the final 4. You want to keep him in the final 2, keep him in the final 2. But I think realistically, and both from an entertainment standpoint, look, he loses, he has a rematch clause. He can go ahead and revoke those rematch clause at Fastlane, immediately setting up a match at which, if you want him going into WrestleMania as champion, you can still have that happen, but he should, in my opinion, not be walking away from the Royal Rumble as the winner. I think that there should be somebody else. Just from a storytelling perspective, I think that'd be a lot more interesting than he invokes his rematch clause at Fastlane and he can retain the belt or regain the belt there if that's what they really, really want to do is Roman going into Mania as champion. With that in mind, there you guys have it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me also know what are your predictions for the Royal Rumble. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think might make an appearance? I definitely do hope, as I mentioned before, for some of the guys that I mentioned before to make an appearance. Balor, AJ, they're up there on my list. I would really, really, really be happy if those two make an appearance and make a very, very, very good showing within the Rumble match. As always, ladies and gents, there you guys have it. If you guys enjoyed this month's prediction video, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps out a ton. You don't have to, but it really helps out a ton. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, of course, let me know if you want to see a predictions video next month for the Fastlane special event. I was going to say pay-per-view, but they're special events now. Peace out, guys. I'll see you later. Alligators. Bye-bye, everyone.